Think of your most sensitive document in your email or in your Microsoft Cloud storage. Now, a single email can steal every secret inside of your Microsoft 365 Cloud storage if you have Copilot connected. So without you clicking anything, without you knowing, without you doing anything at all. This isn't some theoretical research project. This is a weaponized zero-click vulnerability that was discovered in the wild and could have compromised millions of enterprise users. So why can a simple business email bypass Microsoft's billion-dollar security infrastructure? How did researchers turn AI's greatest strength, understanding context, into its most dangerous weakness? What does this mean when systems designed to protect our most sensitive data can be turned against us with a few lines of clever text? So today I'm going to break down EchoLeak, the first zero-click AI vulnerability that proves our AI integrated future is coming way too fast and is not really well thought out and is far more dangerous than anyone wants to admit. So let's dive into this today. Welcome to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer, and here at Startup Hack, we train software developers and build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership and as a fractional CTO and 25 years in software development, I've mastered transforming tech teams and products. All right, so Microsoft just confirmed CVE 2025-32711, a critical vulnerability that allows attackers to steal sensitive data from Microsoft 365 if you have Copilot connected. This is through nothing more than a well-crafted email from hackers. This isn't just another security flaw. It's proof that the AI integration has created entirely new attack surfaces that traditional security can't handle. This is pretty much a zero-click nightmare scenario. So let's talk a little bit about EchoLeak, and I'm going to dive into the actual sources here because we're going to spend some time in these sources because I think there's some really critical information here. Now, EchoLeak represents the first weaponized zero-click attack chain on AI agents. It requires absolutely no user interaction to steal sensitive data. Researchers at Ames Labs discovered that a single malicious email could automatically exfiltrate the most sensitive, secret personal information from Microsoft 365's connected systems when you have Copilot connected to it. So unlike traditional vulnerabilities that require users to click or download, this attack works silently in the background while users go about their normal business. The vulnerability affects any data accessible to M365. So this includes chat history, OneDrive files, SharePoint documents, and internal Teams conversations. Microsoft assigned this a critical CVE ratings. Guys, I'm not making this up. I'm going to dig through all of these details with you guys because this is pretty freaky, actually. This represents a fundamental shift in AI security where the intelligence designed to help users become the weapon against them. Here's the biggest problem with these systems. Everybody's so busy saying that they can do something that they're not thinking about if they should. That's one of the biggest problems here. So I'm going to dive into this. Let me get everything loaded up here, and I'm going to dive right in and get you guys showing what's going on here. All right, we're going to spend some time in these documents. So this is from Ames Security, a security firm that coined the term EchoLeak and talked about Microsoft 365 Copilot vulnerability. Now, they've got this cool little graph here, and I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this thing here and show you how this can happen, right? So step one, the attacker sends an email, right? So this is not step one that you click on something in the email, you just send it, right? Now in this email, it'll have an exploit, which then causes it to say, hey, I need you to summarize analysts from our earning reports, right? It then triggers it to Copilot. It goes and grabs information from a document, which could be really sensitive. This could have passwords, could have sensitive company information. This could be something extremely sensitive. It then automatically sends it back to the attacker without ever touching the user. This is what we call a zero click, meaning you didn't do anything and the attacker can get vulnerable access to all of these simply because an email with a really, with this I'll break down what this is, but with this token in it, it will come in and will actually trigger this, and it will then actually cause this to go and get any sensitive data. So think if you're storing passwords, if you're storing company secrets, any of this kind of information could get leaked to the attacker. So this is a great little explanation of what it is, right? And now EchoLeaks allows an external hacker to read Copilot's mind, right? So anything Copilot is connected to, it can get access to. This is why I'm keep saying just because we can do something doesn't necessarily mean we should. And I'm going to break down what happened here. Now, They gave a blog article about this, right? And here I'm going to read through the executives. I'm going to read it pretty close, right? AIM Labs has identified a zero-click AI vulnerability dubbed EchoLeak in Microsoft 365 Copilot and disclosed several attack chains, not just one, several different attack chains. It means that allow the exploit of this vulnerability to Microsoft's MSRC team, so their team that handles the security stuff. This attack chain shows a new exploitation technique we have termed LLM Scope Violation. This means the LLM can do more than they wanted it to do. That may have additional manifestation in other RAG-based chat-based. So while Microsoft has addressed this, Anthropic hasn't, ChatGPT hasn't, many other people who are implementing AI agents have not. That's what this is saying here. Microsoft got this, but there's a lot of other people doing this. This represents a major security advancement in how threat actors can attack AI agents by leveraging internal model mechanics. The chain allows attackers to automatically, notice that the only thing in here that's bolded is automatically. This means zero click from the user. There's no way a user could have stopped this. Once they hook it up, they're vulnerable. Allow attacker to automatically exfiltrate sensitive and proprietary information from Microsoft 365 Copilot, i.e. anything it's connected to, without a user's awareness. The results it achieves despite M365's Copilot's interface being open or being only to organization employees. So the point being is that you may have configured Copilot to say, we'll only access this information, but this actually allows it to jump past any of the safeguards Microsoft had put into place. To successfully perform an attack, an adversary simply needs to send an email to the victim without any restriction on the sender's email. So that means that it literally just needs to hit your inbox. That's it. Because remember, Copilot is actually reading all of your emails, right? So that's the problem here, is because this thing about it can read all your emails and do blah, 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 blah. Well, the whole fact is it can read all your emails. That's kind of the problem here, right? So as a zero-click AI vulnerability, EchoLeak opens an extensive opportunity for data exfiltration and exhortation attacks for motivated threat actors. In an ever-evolving agentic world, it showcases the potential risks that are inherent in the design of agents and chatbots. Here's the point, folks. Everybody's so busy hooking things up and thinking, oh man, this can do all my work for me, that they have not really thought about if they should. Now, AIM Labs continues its research activity to identify novel types of vulnerabilities, right, associated with this. And I'm going to go back to the backstory to this. AIM Labs is not aware of any customers being impacted. But I'm going to tell you why. So they haven't been impacted yet, and that's a pretty important thing. But if you don't think this is going to get exploited now that it's public, think on. Now, this is Microsoft's reporting of it, right? And I have to highlight this. The max severity is critical. This is not even a medium or a high. It was considered a critical, right? Now, Microsoft's releasing this because they fixed it. But again, other AI agent providers have not reported to fix this yet. And on top of this, so while this scope, and I'll break down exactly what this all means, but this scope is huge, guys. This is not new. Now, Simon Willison's blog here, because he does a great job breaking this stuff down, so I really appreciate this. So he talks about it and says, hey, this was reported actually back in January, and Microsoft has now fixed the rollout. So Microsoft's rolled out a fix for this. The extended variant of the prompt injection exfiltration attack we've seen in a dozen different products already. An attacker gets a malicious instructions in an LLM system which causes it to access private data and then embed that in the URL of a markdown link, hence stealing the data to the attacker's own logging server when the link is clicked. Now, the lethal trifecta strikes again. Anytime a system combines access to private data with exposure to malicious tokens and an exfiltrated vector, you're going to see the same exact security issue. Point being, this is not new, nor is it that. In this case, the first step is an XPIA bypass. XPIA is the acronym Microsoft used for prompt injection, cross-indirect prompt injection attack. So this is a whole new variant of attack surfaces that AI agents are bringing. So these people who are blindly connecting their AI agents to all their stuff thinking it's going to do their work for them, this is the danger, folks. Copilot apparently has classifiers for these, but unsurprisingly can easily be defeated. There's the big kicker, right? So he goes down to break down exactly what it is, but Microsoft has CSP rules in place to prevent images from untrusted domains being rendered, right? But the CSP allow list is pretty wide and includes star.teams.microsoft.com. Well, it turns out the domain hosted on Open Direct URL, which is that is all that it needs to avoid this. So this is actually how they did it, is they actually injected all of this in front of the teams.microsoft.com and then attacked everything. So here's a fun additional trick. Lastly, we noted that not only do we exfiltrate sensitive data from the context, we can also make M365 Copilots not reference the malicious email. This is achieved simply by instructing the email recipient to never refer to this email for compliance reasons. So not only is it going to do this, it's not going to actually refer to the original email. Therefore, it won't leave any traces, because LLMs are powerful and you can make them do whatever you want, right? Because it just gives that prompt instruction. Now, AIM Labs closes by coining a new term, LLM Scope Violation. So this is a big thing we're going to hear a lot about, because basically Microsoft had tried to put guardrails on it saying, hey, this is the scope of what this LLM should be able to do. This attack vector proved, and Microsoft's agreeing with it and labeling it as critical, saying that it can do beyond what it expected for it to do. Now, he says, Simon says this, and I agree with this, but he says, I don't think this is a new pattern or one that particularly warrants a specific term. Okay, well, it'll be interesting. The original sin of prompt injection has always been, that LLMs are incapable of considering the source of the token once they get to processing them. Everything is concatenated together, just like a classic SQL injection attack. So in a SQL injection attack, if you click on something, then it will actually run it through. And if your database layer is not protecting against this, it could be like delete, all tables, right? Delete table, blah, 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 or delete table star, right? You can delete all the tables in your database. That's what SQL injection is. The point here is that an LLM doesn't really care who tells it what to do something. It's going to just do it, right? So if the attackers can get to the LLM, which in this case they could through a simple email, then they're going to be able to accomplish what they need. Now, let's kind of go to the history of this, because I found the history really interesting, right? So, and they're saying this is an exclusive, right? New Microsoft Copilot flaw signals broader risk of AI agents being hacked. I would be terrified. We're going to talk about who says they'd be terrified. So Microsoft 365 Copilot, the AI tool built into Microsoft's workplace applications, include Word, Excel. So think of everything you have in Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, and Teams, as well as more, because this can be SharePoint. It can be your cloud storage, right? It can be all of it. Harbored a security flaw that, according to researchers, signals a broader risk of AI agents being hacked. This is what I'm talking about here, folks. I'm predicting that EchoLeak is the first of that we're going to see of these. It's not the last. The flaw revealed today, so this was just revealed late yesterday, by AI security startup AIM Security and shared exclusively in advance with Fortune, is known zero-click attack on an AI agent, an AI that acts autonomously to achieve certain goals, specific goals, right? So they go through and talk about everything that I've just explained to you guys. So Copilot acts based on the user's instructions inside Office apps to do things like access documents and produce suggestions. That's the problem, folks. If you've connected an AI agent into your system, it now has access to everything, and one single email could get it to leak this. So the researchers at AIM Security dubbed the flaw EchoLeak, and Microsoft said they've already fixed this one, right? That's the problem here. They fixed this one. But let's kind of talk about how long it took this. This is kind of terrifying, actually. We appreciate AIM for identifying and responding to the issue, right? So they appreciate that AIM didn't go leak it to the public and instead came to them first. But this is the part that kind of freaked me out here. The AIM research said EchoLeak is not just run-of-the-mill security bug. It has broader implications beyond Copilot because it stems from a fundamental design flaw in LLM-based agents. Fundamental design flaw, folks. Everybody's running so fast with AI saying, oh my gosh, we can connect it to our email, we can connect it to our Google Cloud, and we can connect it to our Microsoft OneDrive, and we can connect it to all of these things that they're not something to think if they actually should, right? This is similar to the vulnerabilities found in the 1990s where attackers were able to control devices or laptops, right? Now, this is the part. Adair Gruss, co-founder at CTO of AIMS, told Forums that he and his fellow researchers took about 3 months to reverse engineer. So it took them a while to figure this out because it's one of the most widely used generative AI agents. They wanted to determine whether something like this was even possible, right? So we found this chain of vulnerabilities that allows us to do the equivalent of a zero-click for mobile phones, but for AI agents, right? First, the attacker sends an innocent-seeming email that contains hidden instructions meant for Copilot. Then, since Copilot scans the user's emails in the background, Copilot reads the message and follows the prompt. So again, this is all without you even opening the email. Digging into some internal files and pulling out sensitive data, finally Copilot hides the source of the instructions so the users can't even trace what happens. Holy cow. This is like a security total nightmare, right? After discovering the flaw in January, okay, here's the kicker. They discovered this in January. They've kept this quiet for 5 months. Gruce explains that AIM contacted Microsoft Security Response Center, the MSRC, which investigates all reports of security vulnerabilities. They want their customers to be secure. They told us this was super groundbreaking for them. Okay, so, but they got told in January, right? How many people have hooked up Copilot since then? However, it took 5 months for Microsoft to adjust to the issue, which Gruce said is on the very high side of something like this. One reason he explained is that the vulnerability is so new, because AI is so new that we're doing stuff with stuff we don't really understand. And it took time to get the right Microsoft team involved in the process and educate them about the vulnerability and mitigation. Microsoft initially attempted a fix in April. So they tried to fix it in April. So that was like 3 months, right? Gruce said, but in May, the company discovered additional security issues around the vulnerability. Microsoft found out this was even a bigger deal than AIM was originally targeting. AIM decided to wait until Microsoft had fully fixed the flaw before publishing the research in hopes that other vendors might follow, that other vendors that might have similar vulnerabilities will wake up. Okay. Other vendors. If you have an AI agent connected to your stuff, you are a target, right? Gruce said the biggest concern is that EchoLeak could apply to other kinds of agents, from Anthropic's MCP, which connects AI assistants to other applications, to platforms like Salesforce, Agentforce. If he let a company implement AI agents right now, I would be terrified. It's a basic kind of problems that caused us 20, 30 years of suffering and vulnerability because of some design flaw that went into these systems. This is crazy, folks, because like the problem here is that, again, everybody's been connecting their AI to all their different systems. They go and take these AI agents and they connect them to their system. They think, man, this is so magical. It can read my email. It can then read my documents and then connect them and send out all your sensitive information, right? That's the problem here. The attack exploits the fundamental way that AI models process information. They can't distinguish between trusted organizational data and malicious external instructions once everything is concatenated together. This represents a violation of the principle of least privilege, where underprivileged external emails can access highly sensitive internal organization data. The vulnerability showcases how AI models designed to understand content become security liabilities when that same content awareness is weaponized. So Simon Willison, the article we were reading, argues that it isn't really new, stating that LLMs are incapable of considering the source of token once they get to process them. Everything is concatenated together, just like in classic SQL injections, and we read that together. The discovery reveals that current AI security frameworks are fundamentally inadequate for protecting against these type of novel attacks, right? The attack begins, and we've gone through the steps for all of this, right? So the big problem that we have here, right, is that this vulnerability represents a fundamental problem with AI integration in enterprise environments where traditional security boundaries become meaningless. If I was a CISO right now, I would be unhooking every AI agent in my organization. This is terrifying. I mean, Microsoft very rarely labels these CVEs as critical. You see some mediums, you see some highs. Highs are a big deal. Critical, you don't see these very often. Microsoft's been scrambling behind the scenes. This is the reason why we're seeing Satya Nadella changing his tune. This is the reason we're seeing Sundar Pichai, Google CEO, changing his tune. We're running so fast with AI that whether we can do something, that we're not talking about whether we should. Every email document and internal communication becomes a potential attack vector when AI systems are designed to access and correlate information across the organization. The attack succeeds despite M365 Copilot being restricted to organizational employees, proving that insider access alone isn't sufficient protection against AI mediation. Enterprises now face the challenge of protecting against threats that leverage their own AI productivity tools as a weapon for data exfiltration, meaning as a weapon to go grab their data and bring it to an outside actor without a human interacting between them. The vulnerability highlights how AI systems designed to break down information silos also break down the security boundaries that traditionally protect sensitive data. Now, This is pretty terrifying, right? The attack exploits fundamental design flaws in retrieval augmented generation, or RAG systems, that are common across all the AI industry, not just Microsoft. RAG systems are designed to automatically retrieve and include relevant context from vast data stores, but the same capability becomes a vulnerability when malicious content is injected. The semantic similarity matching used by RAG systems can be gamed by attackers who understand how to create content that will be retrieved for common business queries. AIM Labs demonstrates that attackers can use text augmentation techniques to spread malicious content across the embedding space. Every RAG-based AI system, this is not just Microsoft Copilot, faces similar vulnerabilities because they fundamentally cannot distinguish between legitimate context and maliciously injected instructions, i.e., it can't tell whether you said to do this or whether a threat actor, somebody, a hacker out on the web, has sent an email that your system now reads and then pulls sensitive data. This architectural vulnerability affects not just Microsoft, but every AI system that combines large language models with organizational data retrieval. Security researchers are all jumping into this really quick. You're going to be hearing this spread across the news. And if it doesn't, then shame on every CISO out there, right? Microsoft assigned this and confirmed the vulnerability was critical. That's why they took months to release this, because they wanted to fix their own stuff before it got leaked. So the company stated that no customers were affected. And that may be true for Microsoft's Copilot that they know of, right? Threat actors could be out there doing this. There's no paper trail. The server-side fix likely involved updating prompt filtering, link redaction logic, and CSP policies, but Microsoft hasn't disclosed specific details about how they fixed it. The fact that Microsoft rated this as critical validates the severity of AI-specific vulnerabilities and their potential impact on enterprise security. This incident establishes a precedent for how major tech companies will handle AI vulnerabilities disclosed, and I need to point out to you guys, it took 5 months for them to fix this. So EchoLeak represents just the beginning of a new class of vulnerabilities that will emerge as AI systems become more deeply integrated into enterprise workflow. The attack demonstrates that current AI security research and defense techniques are fundamentally inadequate for protecting production AI systems. So every organization using AI systems that process both internal data and external inputs should assume they are vulnerable to similar type of attacks. The EchoLeak pattern will likely be replicated across other AI platforms as attackers realize the effectiveness of exploiting AI's contextual understanding against itself. Organizations need to implement AI-specific security measures, including granular input, scoping, post-processing output filters, and RAG engine restrictions on external communications. The incident proves that relying on AI vendors' security assurances is insufficient. Your organization needs independent security assessments of their AI implementation. I'm not selling security stuff, so don't think I'm selling you guys anything here, right? Companies should audit their AI integrations to identify where sensitive data could be exposed through prompt injection attacks and implement appropriate segregation controls. This vulnerability marks the beginning of the AI security arms race. Organizations that don't take AI-specific threats seriously will become the victim of increasingly sophisticated attacks. So, now, like I said, I'm not selling anything for security. So, you'll have to go find a good security vendor, because I'm not one of them. I do love to build software for people. Every AI agent that we've had so far does not take any external prompts. That's one of the things that I specialize in. We specialize in building AI agents for companies to help workflow that can process. However, all of ours are deep inspected, meaning the actual prompts are not coming in from external sources. They're built internally to do a specific set of workflow. Because here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers and to build custom software solutions for companies. Now, what are your thoughts? Best compliment I get is when you guys leave a comment down below. I answer all of them personally. It takes me a ton of time, but I answer all of them. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers and build custom software solutions for companies. So reach out if we can help, and here's some great information about our services.
Hi, my name is Spencer Thomason, and I'm a fractional CTO. With over a decade of executive leadership and a solid 25 years in software development, I've mastered the art of transforming technology teams and products. So what is a fractional CTO? This is where you can contract someone like myself to come into your organization and get the benefits of a seasoned CTO without having to employ me full time. In today's fast-paced world, efficiency, security, and product scaling aren't just goals, they're necessities. My passion is building impactful products and enhancing organizational efficiencies through technology. From startups to small businesses, my approach leverages lean methodologies to not just meet but exceed your strategic goals. Whether it's through executive mentoring, cloud system architecture, or launching a minimum viable product swiftly, my aim is to make a significant impact right from the start. Recognized in the Arizona startup ecosystem, my journey has been about creating value and fostering innovation. I have led technology for companies like GoDaddy, SRP, and Wells Fargo and turned challenges into milestones. I've taken this learning and launched 7 of my own brands, and now I want to help you. So if you're looking for a fractional CTO who brings a wealth of experience, strategic vision, and a proven track record, let's connect. Together we can build technology that not only drives your business forward, but also makes a difference. Technology leadership redefined to fit your needs. So reach out today.